Hello. Hope you're doing well. It's North. I'm here again. Hope your week has gone well. I hope as we go down towards the weekend, things are getting less stressful for you and that you're doing well in yourself. I've just gotten back from a trip to Nottingham and Warhammer World, among many other things, and I have my own hobby nightmare to share with you. Didn't think I'd get one of these, but it's nothing to do with me. So before you got on the drama chain, it's not that. I wasn't asked to leave or anything like that. It was a lovely day at Warhammer World. They really did look after us. Saw a few ex-colleagues there, which I was quite happy about. They're very, very nice people. And it was a pretty cool day. It's just certain things that I noticed walking around the exhibit that I didn't really like. For one, when we went to Nottingham, I did say to my mate who was going in there with me, I said, look, I've done a few videos recently that really poleaxed Games Workshop a little bit because certain things they've been doing I haven't been happy with. So I generally said, look, we might get asked to leave if we go to Warhammer World, but I really want to go, and he wanted to go as well. I've not been in years, so we headed on down to Warhammer World and walked in, and a lovely young lady at the front desk said, have you been here before? I said, yeah, used to work here, and we had a good chat. Met a guy on the outside walking down towards the tram station that I used to work with. She had a little confab with him as well, and we went down to the exhibit because they've changed a few things around, and it was really cool to have a little look and have a little gander of what was going on. Generally walking around, and it's pretty cool in there, I have to say. I really enjoyed walking around and having a little schmooze at things. The Lord of the Rings exhibit now is really cool. They got this Rohan bit now with Edoras on it, or things that looks like Edoras. It's awesome. Anyway, walking around, and there's this young lad with his dad and some other dudes walking about, and they're having a good time looking at all the models. And the lad's eyes, you can see he's like, whoa, look at all this. Because listen, if you go to the exhibit and you still don't want to get into the hobby, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's not for you, but it was chef's kiss. Anyway, and we're following behind them. We're generally behind that group, and I'm having fun watching this lad's eyes just light up whenever he sees models. And the issue is, there's another group there walking around, and there's a guy there, and he's talking about the evils of Games Workshop, right? Now, you're entitled to your opinion. I certainly have my own opinion on Games Workshop and what they've been getting up to. I shout into the void on this channel where nobody really cares. But I take the time to do it because it's how I feel, and I think that there are certain parts of the company that are going in the wrong direction. Thing is, this guy was clearly looking around, and he saw the kid looking at all the models and having a lot of fun. And he continued on his rants about the pricing and how bad some of the sculpts are, and how the older Marines are better than the newer Marines, things like that, and he wouldn't let up. And even his friends okay, yeah, I just want to look at the models, I agree, I just want to look at the models though. And he clearly sees this young lad, and every single time we go to a new part of the exhibit, because you've got to go through different doors to go to different places, it starts with the old school stuff, like the stuff from the 70s and 80s, not 70s and 80s, but you know what I'm saying, really old stuff, all the way through to Warhammer, Old World, Age of Sigmar, Horus Heresy, then 40k, right? So, we're walking through, and every single time this young lad sees that other group come in, who are just bad-mouthing Games Workshop and the hobby all the time, his face just drops. He's like he's about 10, maybe 11, and he's just like it's just ruining his day. Poor lad's walking around. And and all of his excitement, he's walking around and he's so excited to see all these models and to get in there and to have some fun, and oh yes, Dad, look at this, Dad, look at that. And in the end, I can see the dad's getting more and more frustrated, and he's just looking over at this other group like, will you shut up? Like, all the way through this, you've been so negative. If there's one place on planet Earth where I would say maybe don't bring that in, it's the exhibit. The exhibit is just a celebration of cool toy soldiers. That's what it is. Okay? They work very hard on it. They're always changing it up, right? It's a labour of love. If you got the balls, go into Bugman's bar and talk like that. That's fine. Go into the gaming hall and talk like that. Go into the shop and talk like that. No problem. But not the exhibit. The exhibit's where we all go to have, 10, 20, 30 minutes of just being submerged in the hobby that we love. And it reminds you why you do it in the first place. And some of the effort that's gone into some of those displays are amazing, quite frankly. So you could just see him getting more and more and more frustrated, this dad, with the other group, and they just wouldn't stop. It just kept coming. They kept going on and on about all of the evils Games Workshop get up to. And by the end of the exhibit, we went to there's a huge diorama at the end. It's like 2 floors diorama. It's massive. And this guy, the little lad's walking in, he's like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh, it's amazing." And then this other group walk in, and the lad, who's in his 30s, by the way, he's not a young lad going around talking about the evils of Games Workshop, he says very loudly, "Huh, wouldn't you think it? You put all the effort into such a big diorama, and then the lighting's rubbish. Can't see anything." Right? Dude, I know it's trendy to hate on Games Workshop, and trust me, you know what this channel is. If they do something wrong that I don't agree with, I will absolutely drag them over the coals for it. Absolutely. But number one, there's a time and a place. Number two, come on, if you look at a diorama like that and you don't, want to appreciate it, you shouldn't be here, dude. You're in the wrong hobby. Just because we enjoy parts of the hobby doesn't mean we implore Games Workshop to carry on, opening our wallets without our taking money out all the time. It's typical. I think it was on Bardic Broadcasts, but he is like a tongue-in-cheek thing. He's like, "How dare Games Workshop sent me what I've paid for?" It just made me laugh, right? We can all be guilty of that sometimes, just hating on Games Workshop because they've been so horrid to us over the years. But also, you got to know when the time for responsibility stops on their part. You know what I mean? And they really did. It really ruined this young lad's expedition to get to Warhammer World. And when I came out, I said to one of the guys that I knew, he just stole a body, basically. He said, "Look, he was in there and he had a really bad time. And, if they don't ask you for a intro game, could you just give them one? Just go up to the lad and ask him." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, no problem. So I hung around just to make sure he did it, and he did. He went over and he pulled the young lad over to the demo table, which is an awesome demo table in the shop in Warhammer World, and I left. I was like, yeah, because I could hear him laughing and joking, and it was fine. But without somebody there who knew people, who knew staff members and stuff, his day would have been just ruined. And for all I know, the staff member could have just caned him in the game and said, "Now leave," and just absolutely ruined his entire day. I don't think so. I know him. He's a nice guy. But you never know. He could have done. So yeah, we went for a pint. Got a free pint, which is nice. It's not what you know, of course. So we got a free pint. Got 3 pints of Bugman 6X. Very nice. And went and had we ate copious amounts of meat at a Turkish restaurant nearby. So good evening all around. We ended up in the Pit and Pendulum that night, having a few sherbets. A few sherbets too many. If you ask the women who turned up later, because they were going to a gig, and we were a bit shozzled by the time they turned up. But it is what it is. That is my hobby nightmare at Warhammer World. Let's jump into your hobby nightmares, eh? It's always good when I've got one myself to come into, but it was a bit cringe. Absolutely have your opinions on Games Workshop and all that, but if there's kids around, or if you're somewhere where your complaints are going to drag the entire feeling down for no good reason, maybe just stick a cork in it. Anyway, Shaggy is first. "Hello, Exile of the North. Please call me Shaggy, as it's the name the Royal Navy assigned me, because I look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Yeah, if the Royal Navy give you the name Shaggy, that's, I can go either way. You know what I mean? Pillow biting time and all that. I have been listening to your channel since the epic ballad of Jensen. You've become a staple of my commute and a solid voice of reason for me. Thank you, man. Even if I don't agree with everything you say. Yeah, a lot of people... Dude, I say this all the time. Even I don't agree with all of the things I say. The amount of times I come on Hobby Nightmares, I say something, and then like 4 or 5 hours later I go, that was a bad take. So always remember, you may want to leave a comment having a go at me for saying something. My own worst critic is me. And most of the time when I see something that's a bit off kilter, a few hours later I'll go, ugh. But it's too late. It's uploaded now. It's too late, right? It is what it is. And you live and you learn. You grow. Anyway, I have a bit of a possible hobby nightmare for you that had most of my hobby group rolling on the floor laughing for 30 minutes solid. These names have been changed for anonymity, but I suspect my group will figure it out if they're watching. All right, well, if you are watching, then, hello. I am a Dungeons & Dragons and Battletech player who runs with a core group of hobby lads who meet once a week for ciders, hobbying and general catch-up chats. Honestly, I wouldn't still be above the soil without this group, but that's for a different time. This takes place in our 3-year-long ongoing D&D campaign, so it could fit a Feels Friday if you like. Well, here we are. But I'm not one to tell you your business. To set the scene and introduce you to the characters, in this story we have a Chad of a GM, Half-Jaw, the Barbarian, and a Polish Rageaholic, Azak. The charismatic but dumb sorceress, Liliana, myself, the little surly 2'6" ball of metal cleric, Mork, and finally, the dramatis persona, Jasper, the rogue and villain of our story. It's always the rogue. It's always the rogue. I always say this, whenever whenever I used to be in a D&D session, and somebody would say, oh yeah, I'm a rogue, I would instantly put an asterisk next to that person. Like, I'm watching you. Yeah, you're going to be doing some weird stuff, aren't you? I want to tie him up and tickle him. No, shut up. Anyway, please take a sip of whatever beverage you happen to be drinking, good sir. Well, I've done so, but I will do in a minute. Half-Jaw the Barbarian has been... Half-Jaw... so Half-Jaw is the way you've done it with your commas made me think that Half-Jaw was the Barbarian, but he's not. Half-Jaw is the DM, and the Barbarian and Polish Rageaholic is Azak. Right, okay, cool. Got you. Half-Jaw, the DM, has been running this campaign for, as I stated, 3 years, and it's been a continuous story. The characters have come and gone due to the whims of the dice and Half-Jaw's brutal encounters. He isn't known to pull punches until it's abundantly clear that a total party kill is coming up, then you can see the panic build in his eyes as he wants to keep the story going. All in all, good fun, and he has my signal to be unashamed about my nerfdom and fully embrace the fact that I'm a nerd, and I cannot thank him enough for it. Okay? But on to our story proper. The main story of our campaign is a basic good forces against evil, without any grey area caveats. I like it. I've recently started really getting into moral absolutism in settings like this, combined with grey area, right? So a perfect setting for me would be like there is an absolute evil in the setting that you have to fight against. But how you go about fighting against it, that's where the moral greyness of the world comes in, right? But all of these people over here are good. They're paladins, they're religious folk, they're warriors who just want to stand up to evil, that kind of thing. Everybody over here is good. And because of this really bad thing over here. Like really, really, really bad. It's why Dragon Age Origins work so well, because... Yeah, there is human evil in the story, but they're not the Darkspawn. Like, the Darkspawn are really bad, and they're the perfect backdrop to what you're doing. Same with any setting I want to write in fantasy is there will be a big bad over here that is evil, unequivocally, like terrible. Makes humans look like, saints by comparison, even bad ones. And you've got guys over here who go about fighting that evil in different ways. Some of it is morally grey. You may have to just burn down an entire city because there's cultists in there who follow this god, and you can't seem to know which one's which. You're like, it's all got to go. We can't take any chances, that kind of a thing. That's morally grey, but you're doing it for a good reason. And the people doing it are still heroes. They're making the really harsh decisions that they need to make to keep the world going for another year or two. That's the kind of thing that I enjoy. Basically, why I really like how the Imperium was for so long. You know. All right. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah. It is our characters who fight for peace and prosperity versus the forces of an evil cult who want to burn the world to ashes and begin anew. Simple and satisfying. To this end, the party are wandering the realm to collect artifacts and treasures that the cult are after to keep them out of evil hands. This has led us to the Isle of Ghouls, a forsaken and accursed place of monsters and evil. It's also the final destination of a 6 real-world month-long quest that my character Mork has been embarking on. As Mork is a man of the cloth, he has little use for worldly possessions, and as such, me and Halfjaw usually come up with some long-form, multi-month-long side quests for him to do in order to spread the good word of his religion. I am an atheist myself, but respect others' beliefs enough to take this sort of thing rather seriously. Good. That's good. So many people make D&D and role-playing characters as a little jibe to people they don't like. It's cringe. Don't do that. This dungeon was a 3-week-long romp without rest, a brutal war of attrition that left every character reeling and supplies running low. Skills and builds were being tested, combats were punishing, and puzzles were harsh, as one wrong move could result in status effects that hampered your next fight. Very early Gygax D&D, and I loved it. Some important information is that my character was holding an empty ring of 3 wishes and had paid, bribed, convinced and coerced information out of NPCs that he might find something useful on the Isle to go towards filling it up. I was hoping to wish for more followers towards the way of the machine, my religion, or to have a shrine built in every major settlement to the Great Machine. So this was a holy mission for Mork. As such, Mork had pulled out all the stops to get to the end of this place, dealing with the undead, deciphering magic scraps and torn notes, banishing enemies and repairing ancient mechanisms in order to complete his sacred task. And as such, the party had made their way to the end of the dungeon in one piece, the throne room of a long-forgotten king with cryptic notes and whispers of vile magics that caused ruination and downfall. Liliana the sorceress was running low on spells. Azak had half his health left and no more potions. Jasper was perfectly fine, and Mork had used all of his magic items up, but had a good amount of spell slots left. We could do with the rest, but found no safe haven. Investigating the place led us to see a bunch of statues in the room, a ring of glyphs in the centre, and a skull placed upon the throne, with a wrought iron crown sat upon its brow, and 3 diamonds set in the front of it, one of which was glowing. This is important for later. Mork made his way to the throne to take a closer look at the skull and try to figure out the place where we were when we were interrupted by the arrival of the cult. We knew they were coming, and they were on a timer for this place. And that we were on a timer for this place, but thought we had a few more hours before they caught up. So we were caught a bit short and off guard. The cult demanded the skull from the throne and stated that no one would be hurt if we complied. And that's not really how D&D parties work, so, combat starts. Liliana is immediately charmed into handing over the skull due to a failed save against suggestion, and Azak has to try to step in and stop her. On Jasper's turn, he picks up the skull and hides away, being the very sneaky rogue that he is, playing his character to a T, which is fine. Okay. Mork wades into battle, furious that they would interrupt this holy pilgrimage for the blessed machine, only to get smacked with a brain-fogging smell from one of the cultists that reduced his wisdom and intelligence scores to 1, effectively making him a bit of a tard. Now, with an intelligence score of 1, Mork couldn't cast or speak any spells, couldn't plan anything beyond the immediate situation, and was just a problem to deal with. But that is what the dice said, and I had to roleplay somebody who was effectively a drooling, mouth-breathing moron. As the turns of combat rolled by, I asked Halfjaw how long this lasted until I got a save roll, against to which he replied, this will be in effect for a month. What? In the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, come again. A month? Mork was out for an entire month with this, in-game. He was a wisdom-based cleric, and potentially for the next 4 sessions, he would have a wisdom score of 1 and be non-verbal. While I was processing this, it rolled over to Jasper's turn, our rogue. He was still holding the skull, which grew legs, and attacked him. Turns out the people of this kingdom had been turned into arachnid skull things hundreds of years ago for some unstated reason, of course. This caused things to go from bad to worse, as once the skull attacked, the previously overlooked statues in the room came to life and attacked as well. Now outnumbered, with one member down due to brain fog, Liliana tried to pick up the slack, but with rapidly diminishing spell slots, she soon fell too. Azak was holding his own, but due to the weight of numbers, he was struggling to keep standing, which just left Jasper. The first skull spider attacked him, and it revealed itself, dealing significant damage, to which Jasper responded with a hellish rebuke. The spider made the charisma save, and Jasper uttered the fatal words, "Oh, I wish I was more charismatic sometimes." Remember the glowing diamond? Well, it shone even brighter and cracked, surrounding Jasper in a swirl of magical dust and wind as the crown granted his wish. The wish I had just spent 6 months, 50k gold tracking, was used on a flippant comment, raising Jasper's charisma score to 27. My jaw hit the floor. Jasper's eyes went wide as saucers. His character had, in an instant, become the most charismatic person in this world. He was utterly broken. My character's shtick was that he had a ridiculous AC, armor class. Now Jasper matched it somehow due to high charisma. Mork had spent 13 levels getting his medicine stat to break a 10 plus modifier. Jasper had an 18 plus in persuasion and could convince pretty much anybody of anything. While Mork did all the legwork for this wish, his only reward was poo brain, while Jasper got to become the literal embodiment of Giga Chad. All the table could do was laugh, and to be honest, I didn't blame them, so I played into it. Half-jaw, I said, "I have a question. What the actual fuck?" He said, I wish, I'm sorry. But at plus 10 to charisma, you can make me retarded and he gets plus 10 charisma? It's what the dice said. Half-jaw, let me remind you of a few things let me remind you of a few things by you and ask you what you would do. Number 1, you made me retarded. Number 2, I have been tracking this for months. And number 3, we're about to die. And number 4, you are deliberately being cryptic about how to get out of here. Number 5, you're in my house as a guest. And number 6, I can't use Mork properly again because you made me retarded. And number 7, there's nothing left in the toolbox to get out of this. Jasper was crying with laughter at this point, so I started to hammer up a bit with Half-jaw holding his phone and asking for a repeat while he recorded. Many expletives and joking jabs at Jasper aside, the table settled down and Jasper offered to undo his wish, but nope, it had happened, so we just roll with it. Mork would just have to deal with losing out at the very last moment. The painful thing is, he failed in his quest when he was less than 15 feet away from his goal. It stings slightly, but that's just the way it falls sometimes. After a few more turns, we managed to scrape our way out without losing anybody at the cost of some magic items and loot, but it was a close call and a brutal dungeon. I wouldn't change anything though, and Half-jaw is a great GM. He watches the channel. Thank you very much, man. Anyway, thank you for reading this if you do, North. You've seriously helped me out more than you'll ever know. Many thanks, Shaggy. Alright, well that's cool. I think... I wonder whether Half-jaw has been... There's such a thing as following the rules too closely. Do you know what I mean? Too much to the letter. Getting too ingrained in what you're reading. I don't think... If he's read, it's for 3 in-game months, I would have changed that. I'd have said, 3 hours. You know what I mean? You're down for 3 hours. So you're out of this fight, which is bad enough. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, to take away your end goal, which happens. It was going to happen anyway because you got that spell against you. To take away the end goal at the last second and make your character unplayable for 4 sessions, that's a bit overly harsh. I think, if the rules say that, throw them out. Just say it's 3 hours, not 3 months. If the rules don't say that and he just made that up on the spot, then he should amend that immediately. Because that's not just harsh. That's not fun. And not fun is the enemy. We don't want that, right? Anyway, Shocks65 is next. He says, "Hey North, Shocks65 here. Resending this nightmare as my first email was lost in the warp, as I cannot find it in sent or anything, so I apologise if you get duplicates." No, I think this is... I've not read this one before. Alright. Hey North, I hope you and the family are well. You can call me Shocks or Zed, whichever is easier. As I stated before in a comment on your videos, I am a new 40k player and just started in the May of 2025, and have only ever played Tabletop Simulator until our local grand tournament on October the 3rd, which I will not name as I hope to remain anonymous. Okay, the nightmare is about my first ever casual game after the grand tournament at our local game store. The GT was perfect and everybody was charming, but I had spoken too soon, as my first ever casual Saturday game was an actual nightmare. Take a sip of tea, as this one is long. It's not that long, you're alright. So, we begin on Monday of last week. I was looking in our local game store's Discord for a game of casual 2,000 points of 40k. I don't think there is such a thing as casual 2,000 points of 40k, but yeah. I saw somebody had posted Monday asking for a game. I replied asking for a night game on the weekdays, and he said no, but he was available on Saturday. We'll call this man Tim. I said I'd have to see, as my girlfriend spends time with me on the weekends. I wanted to see if she'd be down to go and watch me play. Mistake. So Friday rolls around, and no one had replied to Tim yet. This was my first red flag. I'd ignored, but, you know, dumb I know. My girlfriend said she'd love to come watch, as she had attended the GT with me and loved it. I'm a lucky man, I am aware. Well, that's cool. So I replied to Tim saying, yes, Saturday works for me and I would attend. Important note here was a RTT, a regional tournament, the same day, so I don't think I would have to specify casual and armies, etc., as I expected all the competitive players to attend the RTT. This was my second mistake. So I show up Saturday to the store. I meet Tim and he seems nice enough. You haven't swapped lists. Like A1, swap lists. Know what you're doing, right? Most of these nightmares tend to follow the you're not following protocol and you get stung for it, unfortunately. Anyway, I meet Tim and he seems nice enough. We shake hands and start setting up terrain on the map. I have to note, I play a very weird Tyranids list I built for the thematic effect of big monsters, especially, basically all one of each kind that I liked, and painted them as High Fleet Behemoth. My heart immediately sinks as I see Tim pull out a Tau, a very competitive list that has 2 ghost keels, which is important to note, and I ask him about his army rules, stratagems, any reactive movements, etc., as I have never played against Tau before. I only heard they are very OP right now, especially after the recent update. We set up, deploy and start the game. Turn 1 and 2 goes about as well as I could hope, with me being shot to pieces as I'd expect. I lose over 1,000 points in monsters in 2 turns. To note, at the GT, I went 3 and 2, so it's not like I'm terrible or anything. He declares some attacks and moves, and does moves that I suspect are a bit untrue or unfair in these turns, but I was too dumb to ask for rules, as I'm new, and just thought Tau were that strong. But they are not. In top of my turn 3, I make a desperate charge into both ghost keels, do some damage, but they negate the 2 attacks. They can change damage to 0. What? They can change damage to 0 and so on, so they live. Give me 1 second. I am getting a phone call. Alrighty, apologies. Just going to run on back over here. Okay, cool. So, where was I? Okay. In top of my turn 3, I make a desperate charge in both ghost keels. Sorry if you're hearing this for the second time, but I've got to do it so make sure I don't miss anything out. I do some damage, but they negate the 2 attacks. They charge. They negate the 2 attacks and and they take all damage down to 0 and so on, and so they live. This is where he declares he can fall back and shoot with them. I asked why he didn't tell me this at the beginning, when I'd asked about his army. He said Tau can just fall back and shoot and it is their entire thing. Me being dumb and new, I just took his word for it. Mistake number 3. He had lied, as I later found out when my buddy, who got me into 40k, asked me how my game went. So I lost my Trigon and had 3 units left on board at the bottom of turn 3. I asked to end the game because I had barely any models left and was down to over 30 points. Big note is, I was not having fun, as I thought his army could fall back, and as I did not know his army could fall back and still shoot. So I didn't charge a lot, etc. He then looked me in the eye and said, well, why? Tau aren't that strong. The recent buff only made them okay. This infuriated me because 2 Tau lists had come up in the top 2 at the GT at the weekend before, and everybody I talked to told me how strong they were. At this moment, I convinced him I was done and started packing up. He kept restating how the Tau were mid and not OP, etc., which only pissed me off more, as he said, as he had one-shot almost all of my units. It was supposed to be a fun, casual game, but it really didn't feel like it. My girlfriend had even texted me a few times during the game saying he seemed really snotty, and like he was declaring it was him who was better and not his list. And it wasn't... and his list wasn't good, just like mine, which also infuriated me more so. I let it all go though. I shook his hand and went to buy models and update my list. He said to me when I was in line to buy my models that Tau are only OP if they run Kroot, etc., then proceeded to buy a full Kroot army right in front of me that was on sale in the display case. I kept my... So that's really funny. And my army would only be good if I bought this box over here. And oh look, here is my wallet. I kept my temper and left the game store with a horrid taste in my mouth that I had just been cheated, which I found out later from my experienced friends. And pub stomped in what was supposed to be my first ever casual game at a hobby store. I was absolutely devastated and now fear local games of casual play because of this. I just want to go back to Tabletop Simulator as I never had these issues on there. Cheers North, and let me know what you think. But that's from my pics of my army, as I'm proud of them for my first ever paint job. Sorry if it's a little hard to read or anything just seems jumbled. It was fine. Let's have a little look, see what you've sent in. Oh, these are cool. Oh, I like these. Yeah, what you've done is you picked 3 very, very strong colours and you've gone with them. I like it. Yeah, a bit of dry brushing and a bit of oil or contrast will just make these pop out. But at tabletop standard, these are really good, man. For a first try, these are really cool. Yeah, I like these. These are good. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Alrighty, that is Hobby Nightmares for today. I will speak to you over the weekend for a live stream or 2. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. Alright, have a good one. Bye now.